Good morning everyone, my name is Michelle. I hope you're doing well. Welcome to another video. It is Saturday morning the 17th of February. If you're a member of this channel and you watched yesterday's video, you will have seen some of this information already. But if you're a non-member, then this is all new to you, and we're going to talk about the Adam Montgomery trial. But first, before we get into that, I want to talk just a little bit about Lina Sardar Khil. Who is Lina? Right, she was 3 years old when she went missing from outside of her home. She lived in an apartment block in San Antonio, Texas. Her and her mother and some other children were in a playground that belonged to those apartments. Should have been safe, right? Yes. Well, there was a critical 18 minutes when no one had eyes on Lina. This happened on the 20th of December 2021. And I think people have all but forgotten about this case. I was doing almost daily videos from the beginning of the case every time there was a press conference, and they were doing almost daily press conferences. This was over the Christmas period. Yeah, I did one on Christmas Day 2021, San Antonio police release video clip. And then just everything stopped. And I don't think people realised that I've covered this case since day one. I don't think people watch Michelle Walks. However much I plug that channel, you know, I do a lot of content over there. But anyway, the last significant update was at the year mark. And we're now 26 months down the line, but at the year mark, they released this video clip. And you can see in a second, Lina, she was sitting on the floor. And then she walks along. There's other kids around. There's other kids right there. And that was the last time that Lina was seen. She just walks off. She just walks away. I think she was looking for her mother. Her mother went in. And Lina was playing. Her mother probably thought she was safe in there. And when her mother came out, she was gone. It's not like she's been called by anyone, in my opinion. She's looking around. Now, for the last 2 days, there has been a new search based on a tip, apparently by an inmate. So what this tip is, I don't know, but it's outside the Helix apartments behind them in some woodland. And this is about half a mile away from where Lina lives. However, they did 2 days, and yesterday they even brought in an excavator. And they didn't find anything. So apparently they've wrapped up that search, still finding nothing. It's very sad because people have all but forgotten about Lina Khil. She's 6 years old in a few days' time, about 4 days' time. Very sad. Okay, let's move over now to another incredibly sad, heartbreaking case, the case of Harmony Montgomery, and the trial of her father, Adam Montgomery. We will be on day 9 of the trial when court resumes on Tuesday, so I haven't updated for a few days. We've heard from a bunch of people, police officers, DNA specialists, and people who were in Adam and Kayla's life. We've heard about purchases of almost $400 from Home Depot for an angle grinder, for lime. And we've heard from the officers who took down the ceiling at the FIT shelter, at the homeless families shelter, where Adam was storing Harmony's body in the ceiling. We've heard from the person who rented the U-Haul van, who was fed a lie. He had no idea, apparently, that Adam was going to use that U-Haul truck to dispose of what was left of Harmony's remains. We've heard from people at Portland Pie Company where Adam worked as a dishwasher and a food prep person. Can you imagine? And them believing that they saw Adam bringing to work a bag that fit the description of the bag that he was storing Harmony's remains in. And Kayla is not innocent in this. Kayla has got a plea deal in exchange for spilling everything she knew. She's in prison at the moment for perjury, for lying to the grand jury. She had some fraud charges for claiming welfare money for Harmony, knowing full well that she was dead. But she's due for a parole hearing in just a few months' time, in May, I believe. Now, she may not get out in May. She is eligible for parole. Adam, on the other hand, has got, 30 years for weapons charges. He's admitted, though not pled guilty. There's an important distinction between making a confession in front of the judge and making a formal plea. So he's admitted in front of the judge on day one of the trial, but the prosecution still have to prove that case. So they're going through all of the details. Now, it's interesting to me, how many of these details would they have had if it hadn't been for Kayla's proffer? Would they have known to go to the fit shelter and look at the ceiling? Would they have known to go to Union Street, the Union Street apartments? Would they have known that he tried to disable Harmony's body in the bathroom at the Union Street apartments? Would they have known that he carried her about in a bag, a duffel bag, and then a CMC bag? We heard about a NutriBullet blender. We heard about him buying a £40 bag of lime and putting lime in the bag to stifle the smell. Would we have known about the U-Haul van? Probably not. Because once Kayla started to sing like a canary, the puzzle pieces about what happened to Harmony started to fit into place. And what we've seen over the days is confirmation that, yeah, Harmony was stored in that ceiling in a bag. We know that purchases were made for lime and for an angle grinder. We know that a motel room was bought. We know that a U-Haul van was bought under names of people that Kayla said they were under. Would this case have got to trial had it not been for Kayla? No, I don't think it would have. However, this deal with the devil is not without its disadvantages, because the defence are claiming that Harmony was found dead, although Adam has admitted to the abuse of a corpse and the falsifying evidence charges. Is this a plan from the defence? I think so. They knew he wasn't going to get out of those charges. Those charges don't amount to life in prison, but he's got all of those weapons charges. So what would they try to do if he was found not guilty of murder? With all of those charges stacked on top of one another, he's going to be in his 60s anyway by the time he gets out of prison. Or would they try to get him a reduced sentence on the weapons charges? Would they appeal that sentence? Who knows? So potentially the prosecution in bringing this trial have done a deal with the devil, because we've only got Kayla's word. Yes, there's proof that she told the truth about all the places where the body was stored, and that Adam had this U-Haul van, and that he drove miles away, like 50 odd miles away. But Kayla doesn't know where the body, what was left of it, ended up. So she's told the truth about those things. So the jury are expected to believe that if she's told the truth about those things, and that's the prosecution's case, to prove that Kayla was telling the truth about the things that they can find evidence for. But the murder itself, the way that Kayla described it, there's only one witness to that. I mean, there's two little kids, like 2 years and younger, but there's only one actual witness to that. And that is Kayla Montgomery. So her credibility is on the line here. She knows she's got to tell the truth, or else the deal's off. But has she told the truth is the question. It's her word against his. There's no evidence of that murder. So are we expected to believe Kayla? Do you believe Kayla? Let me know in the comments. I think we have no choice but to believe Kayla. Now, I've said in previous videos that I think there's more to the story, because they were just both spun out on drugs. But I think it was Adam who had the explosive temper. We heard from a driver who was taking them to the methadone clinic yesterday, and she witnessed his horrific temper. I don't think Kayla's innocent in any stretch of the imagination, but the prosecution have had no choice but to do a deal with her to get this case to trial. And then they're just hoping that the jury see Kayla as credible enough, given that there is evidence to prove her story about where the body was stored and stuff. And there's other people and there's forensic evidence to support all of that. So we're going to have to wait and see. But this is the question that I was asked. Hi, Michelle. I would love to hear your thoughts regarding Kayla Montgomery and her dependency on Adam, even after he did what he did. Well, this is a simple case of trauma bonding. We know he beat her. Listen to this little clip when Kayla was on the stand.
You said that he ended up hitting you. He would still hurt me anyway.
Yes.
How did he hurt you, Kayla?
By punching me.
Where did he punch you?
In the head.
What did he punch you with, Kayla?
His hands.
Open hand, closed fist, something else?
Both.
How often did this happen to you? How often did he do this?
Constantly. It just kept happening.
What was it like living with him back then, Kayla?
It was definitely not good.
Do you recognize what's depicted in what's marked as States Exhibit 99, Kayla?
Yes, it's me with 2 black eyes.
Is that a fair and accurate representation of you on that day?
Yes.
Do you remember what day this was?
March 17th.
Is that of 2020 or 2021?
2021.
Her dependency on Adam came from trauma bonding. Presumably, Adam was a lovely guy at first, because they always are. And then he turned. But when things started to really go downhill for them, when they were evicted from 77 Guildford Street and they were living in the car for 10 days, Adam was getting more and more and more stressed. He had 2 accidents in his car in the same week. And then after Harmony was murdered, then the stress just piled on and piled on and piled on. And we've seen evidence of that. We've seen the black eyes. He has a thing about eyes, seemingly. Why did she want to stay with him? She said that she still cared about him because he was the father of her children. The note that was found in her jail cell said she wanted one more time with Adam because she was trauma bonded. And sometimes people will remain trauma bonded despite what they do to them, despite what they do to their children even. It seems that Adam finds the people who have got low self-esteem, who have got the same kind of addiction problems as him, and they become, I would imagine, codependent. Although in Adam and Kayla's case, he was codependent on her because he had to keep her on the track of not telling the police. He was so paranoid that he believed that there was cameras all over the apartment at Union Street that she'd told the cops. And we heard from a worker from the Union Street apartments, and even that was true, because he'd taken some lights down, and when the repair worker came to put the lights back up, Adam said he'd taken them down because he believed there was cameras in there. So everything checks out from Kayla's story. But Adam had to depend on her not telling the truth to the cops, and he was so paranoid, and he was getting more and more and more abusive, and she was getting more and more dependent on him because she wanted the old Adam back. She wanted the nice guy back, and she was doing everything she could to keep the peace, to keep the nice elements of his personality to the fore. It's the age-old story of the abuser and the abused being codependent on each other. And it's a very common story. Sadly, this is an extreme example, but it's still the same age-old story, in my opinion. But let me know what you think in the comments below, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye, guys.